Hello, you are welcome to Baku Network. Today we discuss Mr. Raul. He write book about Nagorno-Karabakh conflicts, about Khojaly. Thank you very much for the book. Thank you very much, Mr. Raul.
You're quite welcome.
Yeah. What you think about situation in Nagorno-Karabakh, about conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan?
Well, as I have written in the United States, I've pointed out to Americans that the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh is the same as what the United States faced in 1861 when 11 states of the United States decided to leave. And they declared their independence, and then we had a great war where more Americans died than any other time. And that secession, that was called a secession, was illegal. It was unconstitutional. And when I first read about what was going on in Nagorno-Karabakh, I saw a great similarity. And I looked into it. I ran across the whole subject by sheer accident. I used to work for the New York Times. I used to write for the New York Times. So every day on the internet, I read the New York Times. And one day, I ran across two words in the New York Times, and it was frozen conflict. And I thought that referred to a battle that the Americans fought in Korea in 1950 at a place called the Chosin Reservoir. It was called the Frozen Chosin because it was in December. The temperature was 30 degrees below zero every night. And the U.S. Marines were totally surrounded, 17,000 Marines, totally surrounded by 100,000 Chinese. The Marines won. the Marines won. And I thought that's what frozen conflict referred to. So I went to that article and I read it. And I thought, wait a minute. This is about a place, Azerbaijan, and it's about one specific battle in a war that I didn't even know existed. Now, in February 1992, when Khojaly happened, I know exactly what I was doing that year. I had no idea what was going on here. Now, I was familiar with Azerbaijan because as a little boy, I started collecting postage stamps from all over the world. I was 7, 8, 9 years old, and I was collecting stamps, and I ran across stamps issued by the Soviet Union for Azerbaijan. Because at the end of World War II, the Soviets went into Iran and they took the northern part and they kept it until they finally left. But that's where I first ran across Azerbaijan, when I was a little boy. And so I followed up on the war. I said, what? There was a war going on? I didn't even know about it. And most Americans didn't. And that's when I ran across Khojaly. Now, so that anyone who hears this can understand this, I am a United States Marine. As a United States Marine, I cannot accept the shooting of unarmed men, women, and children, which is what happened at Khojaly. An estimated 1,000 men, women, and children were slaughtered by Armenian and Russian troops in one night. And I became more interested and more interested. I wound up interviewing a woman who was captured by the Armenians, and another woman who was captured by the Russians. And I built a book, it's called Murder in the Mountains.
It's the name of the book.
Name of the book, Murder in the Mountains, A War Crime in Khojaly. And I built the book around their stories of what they experienced. They didn't know each other. I don't even know if they know each other to this day. And I built the book, and in the process, I became very anti-Armenian because I cannot accept shooting children. Yeah. I just can't. As a professional military man, and I spent 8 years doing that, and that's why I wrote the book and developed the opinions that I did which then led me to this book, The Armenian Lobby and U.S. Foreign Policy.
The first book was about genocide in Khojaly, yeah?
Yes.
And this one, it's another second book. What about?
This is a book about what's called, in America,
Yes.
special interests get together, and they're protected by the Constitution. They can petition the government to hear them. So, special interests can get together and sit down with a congressman or a senator or the city councilman, whoever it happens to be, to support their particular position on a particular issue. The Armenian lobby is very strong in the United States. There are not that many Armenians in the United States, about 1.5 million total out of 330 million people. But they have a lot of money, and they get it together, and they go visit congressmen, and they write checks for campaign contributions, and they get their point of view across. Well, Azerbaijan has never had that kind of support in the United States because nobody ever heard of Azerbaijan. So what happens is that they know the system. They know the system. And so they concentrate on influencing United States policy. They have two goals, the Armenians. Number one, to get the United States to officially recognize what they call the genocide with the Turks in 1915, 1916, which may or may not have happened. I don't know. I personally don't care. But so that's their number one goal. Their number two goal is to get as much American foreign aid as they can for Armenia, because Armenia is very poor. Now, in 1989, 1990, the United States Congress passed a law with the support of the President Bush, the first President Bush, and it was to support former Soviet republics. As the Soviet Empire fell apart, the American government set money aside to assist the new countries like Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, Moldova, to assist them in getting modern and making progress into a modern world, a post-Soviet world. And the Armenians, with their influence in Congress, got a part of the law passed that prohibited the American government from giving any money to Azerbaijan, with the excuse that Azerbaijan was committing a war crime by shutting down the railroad, the two railroad lines between Azerbaijan and Armenia. The Armenians claimed that this was injuring them very badly economically, which of course is not true, because of the shooting and the war, the railroads couldn't run anyway. You know.
But I have a question. Why is in Congress nobody thinks about this money go to give support to military base, which Russia have in Armenia? Because it's money Armenian government give to some points, and one of the points it's military base in Gyumri.
The large
Why
military
nobody
base.
in Congress?
Well, the thing was that they succeeded at first, but when the United States was attacked on September 11th, 2001, everything changed. Azerbaijan volunteered to help the United States. And in so doing, the President of the United States was able to go to Congress and he signed a waiver that allowed the United States to help Azerbaijan. Every president since has signed that waiver every year. And so instead of no money, American money flowing to Azerbaijan and it all going to Armenia, now it's the other way around, and Azerbaijan is getting the funds that they should have gotten 25 years ago. So most Americans are not aware that the Armenians are so close to the Russians. So close that the Russians provide Armenia with their defense of their border, with their air defenses, their anti-missile defenses, and have a large base, military base in Armenia. The Russians say they need that there to protect themselves from an attack by the Turks. They always blame the Turks. And they say it has nothing to do with Azerbaijan, and as a matter of fact, they work with Azerbaijan diplomatically and sometimes with military assistance, and that's true. But from the American standpoint, what the Russians are doing is not in the best interest of the Americans. So when Armenia exercises their political muscle, it's not helping the American interests in this part of the world.
You have everything.
It's all in here.
Oh. Okay.
It's all
good,
in here,
yeah.
including I have a list of all the contributions, dollars, how much they've spent, and they are not very happy when I reveal this. Because like I say, there's not that many in the United States, but they spend much more money than any other group. And they have lots of money. They get it from all over the world because Armenians are all over the world. And the Armenians are so upset with me for writing about this that they use my work to raise money for their cause. So that's how I got interested in this situation, starting with the frozen conflict. Now I've been here, this is my third visit here to Azerbaijan. I love the country. I love Baku. And so I'm now working on book number 3. The book number 3 is not political. It's about Azerbaijan's as a nation today, its tradition going back to 1918. I don't know if you know this, but women were allowed to vote in the 1918 Azerbaijan Republic before women were allowed to vote in the United States. And so I find it fascinating that after so many years of Soviet domination, that Azerbaijan was able to pick up on its tradition from 1918, and its cultural and its political tradition and its independent position. And so the new book that I'm writing about is Azerbaijan today, its tradition from 1918, its roots in the oil industry, and what it's trying to do now to prepare for the future. I have reports that I have my hands on of predicting what the oil trade will be like for the next 50 years. How many barrels of oil, how much money is anticipated, and what have you, and for the next 50 years. So when Armenian propagandists say, well, Azerbaijan's running out of oil, I don't think so. Plus, they're getting into natural gas. The Eastern Europeans, the Ukrainians, and others love natural gas coming from Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan has a terrific future from my standpoint.
It's correct, because Azerbaijan, not only oil and gas, it's human, it is a good population which try and do his life is better. We
Absolutely.
develop our country, and thank you very much for your work, because it's hard work. Nobody in my friends can write 3 books about Azerbaijan. Thank you very much for joining us in the Baku Network.
Thank you.